Hey guys, Jengar here. Welcome to today's premium review in which we are taking a look at the F7F-3 Tigercat sitting at 6.0 battle rating in realistic battle and 6.7 in arcade. Now, after my son last week, and he's still a little bit ill, and my wife the last few days, now I am also finally catching this bug. My throat is hurting. And I am really trying to keep my voice under control, otherwise I feel a deep stinging pain in my throat. Anyway, I'm going to try to continue to make this video, and hopefully my voice will hold together in this video and in the coming week, because I have a week off and I was planning to make a bunch of videos, but if my voice is going down the same route as my wife's, then I'm gonna have a problem with this throat and I won't be able to make videos because she really lost her voice. Anyway, let's hope that I can dodge that bullet. Now this plane, it's a very interesting heavy fighter. It is very fast and it should be used in a strict boom and zoom capacity. It's not very maneuverable. The roll rate in many occasions is not fantastic. It's better when it's fast, but the turn time also is not good. So you definitely want to energy fight, maybe a little bit, and boom and zoom in it. And in that capacity this plane is very good. It is also supported by several of its characteristics in that role. Now let's see and start at the beginning. The maximum speed of this plane at sea level without WEP is 606 kilometers an hour, and with WEP 650. At 4500 meters this is 511 without WEP and 549 with WEP. And finally at 6500 meters she'll go up to 479 kilometers an hour without WEP and 493 with WEP. Now this plane definitely is best at mid to low altitude. It loses a lot of the power of the WEP that it has at sea level at the higher altitudes, and the DOE 335, for example, that we showed not too long ago, is faster on the higher altitudes, but this plane, the Tigercat, is much faster at the lower altitudes than the DOE 335. The top speed in a dive though is not comparable to the DOE 335. This plane has a top speed in a dive of 794 kilometers an hour before she redlines, which is 100 kilometers an hour less than the DOE 335, and 885 kilometers an hour before she rips apart. Now that is also a 75 kilometers an hour difference compared to the DOE 335, so that thing is much faster in a dive, and this thing still is fast but not as fast. It is much better in a straight line though, at mid to low altitudes. The control stiffening in this plane starts at 600 kilometers an hour and more severe at 750, which is quite alright when you look at the top speeds and the red line. Stall speed in this plane is surprisingly good with 150 kilometers an hour. It has two powerful engines that is pulling it up. The climb rate on this thing is also great, and that really supports it. The firepower in the plane is fantastic, absolutely. It has 8 guns. 4 of those are 20mm AN-M3 cannons with 200 rounds per gun, and then you have 4 12.7 M2 Browning machine guns, also known as 50 cals, with 400 rounds per gun. Now the combination of these guns is absolutely devastating, and yeah, it's magnificent firepower. Very good in head-ons this plane, and you only need a fraction of a moment on enemy planes to vaporize them. Although of course, as always, you can get hits sometimes and no results, but other than that the guns are very devastating. You can also equip this plane with several combinations of bombs and rockets. The rockets are HVAR rockets or Tiny Tims, and you can combine them with bombs if you want, or only bombs or only rockets. So whatever setup you want, you can do in this plane. And it is also not too crazy to take this plane as a ground attacker first and then go after planes, because of the excellent speed in a straight line at sea level. So the firepower is fantastic and the ammo loads are excellent. Acceleration in this plane in a straight line is also excellent, and in a dive it's great. The energy retention in the horizontal is very good, and in the vertical it's excellent. This plane really wants to go up. The power of these engines is such that the power to weight ratio is very good, and this plane performs very nicely in the vertical. Don't use too much rolling and stuff like that, because it severely slows the plane down, and that is not something you want. You want to keep this plane purring as best as you can in the vertical, and then in the boom and zoom capacity this plane is very good and a pleasure to fly. That is also supported by the great climb rate that I mentioned earlier. This thing really wants to go. It also gets an air spawn, of course. Unfortunately, after my 5 kills we get killed at the airfield by this guy, and he actually manages to get away. So I do that sometimes, but now it's happened to me, which is less fun, but hey, he took the risk and he got me, so there we go. You don't always get 5 kills, of course. This plane is more like a 2 to 3 kill plane that you usually get, and if you're lucky you get some more kills, of course. That's the difference between an average match and an outstanding match. You also have those moments where you get 1 kill, but this plane is definitely possible to be one of the highest planes in the match. When the first confrontation happens, in that situation, this plane, I was lucky there. I got a few sparkles on my plane, ricochets probably. Didn't quite connect. That's good, because the Ta-152 is definitely not something that you want to have their ammo connect on you, because then you will explode. Anyway, we've got a turn time on this plane that is bad. Absolutely, this plane in a straight turn is not very good. Is bad, and with flaps below average. The flaps are pretty nice. They only rip off at 550 kilometers an hour, which is quite decent in this plane. The roll rate is above average, and not more than that. Especially when it's fast, it's quite nice for a heavy fighter. Overall maneuverability is slightly below average, I would say. There is overheating in the plane. It is even present with only running the engines at 100%. With web it overheats quicker, of course. It does cool off easily though, so it is manageable and not a severe problem for this plane. Durability in the plane is very good. It can soak a lot of damage and still get home. It's quite good. It's a sturdy plane, but still the engines can take damage because they are quite big from the side. They protect the pilot, but when you get an engine damage you definitely want to go home, because the plane it can take you home on one engine, but you are not defensible anymore, and you gotta repair them, of course. But anyway, I found the plane quite sturdy and very good in head-ons. Often the engines taking a little bit of damage in that case, or the engine cowlings instead of the engines. Actually, I had that happen more often than the engines themselves taking damage, so that's quite good. But all in all, a very nice plane, and a plane that can take you home. So in the end, it is definitely a plane that has to be used in the boom and zoom capacity. You can also energy fight, but the maneuverability is a bit risky when it comes to that. You don't just turn this plane over in the stall maneuver, for example. The rudder is not very powerful, and sometimes he stutters a bit when you get slow. It becomes a bit sluggish when it's slow, and it is then difficult to execute your planned stall maneuver. So yeah, you want to make safe approaches on enemy planes and not take too much risk, because once you get into a maneuvering fight with this plane, it can be quite difficult. Of course, the battle rating of this plane also guarantees you face jets regularly and the top tier super props. And when it comes to maneuverability, you are no match for the super props. So you want to use your superb speed and boom and zoom capabilities to keep the upper hand. The firepower on this plane can save you out of a sticky situation by the occasional head-on. You can use that, that's definitely not an issue. But pulling off from the head-on in this plane is a little bit tricky sometimes when you don't have much speed on you. So there's a lot of little factors that you want to take into account. The plane is very good, but it is definitely also a little bit unforgiving when it comes to certain situations. You want to get to know the plane, let's say. And when you do, this plane is fantastic, I have to say. In the boom and zoom capabilities, this plane is one of the best at its battle rating, and for a heavy fighter it often doesn't feel like a heavy fighter at high speeds. Now in the meantime, it was I have to also say that I find it better in realistic battle than in arcade, because with the arcade flight models you often well, you get outmaneuvered and it's more difficult to guess the energy state of enemy planes, which can bring you a lot of problems, and especially with the performance in the vertical, which is in RB manageable because you have more control. In my sense, with the flight models, a lot of planes can more easily reach you, even though you have an altitude advantage, an energy advantage. It is more easy to helicopter up and damage the Tigercat to such an extent that your match is basically over. That has happened to me quite a few times in arcade, and you're a big target, and with that helicopter aspect to the arcade gameplay, you have more problems in this plane to stay healthy, to keep the plane in a good condition from its boom and zoom capabilities. This was one of my better matches with 8 kills and 1 assist. We did lose though, because my allies didn't take the airfields, and this is definitely not a plane to get low and take the airfield, because in this plane you're done. Anyway, we've got Terror of the Sky in that 5 kill match, 41,000 Silver Lions and 5,700 research points. Hey guys, so here we are after the match. Now this Tigercat is definitely good. It's a good premium to get. If you ever get an opportunity to get this in an event or something, I would definitely try to get it. It's a fast plane in a straight line. It's decent in a dive. Controllability is alright. It has excellent performance with acceleration and energy retention, and it's an absolute beast for boom and zooming with each armament, 420mm and 450 cals. Then a combination with rockets, tiny tims and bombs, if you want, gives it versatility. And as an energy fighter it's also good. So boom and zooming, energy fighting, if you like that, and then this plane definitely is for you. And with the rewards you get from a premium plane, this plane is absolutely worth it. So definitely a plane to look out for. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye. If you're new here, make sure to hit the subscribe button, become part of this community. If you are already a subscriber, don't forget to like the video, do leave me a comment, and if you really feel like helping out today, make sure to share the video with your friends and let them know about the channel.